fear. Fear will always be there, contrary to what people think. Kama ilikuwa ni calling yangu na Mungu, kwa nini nina uoga? Kwa nini? Yani zile setbacks kwamba ningekuwa kama ni it's my calling, nisingekuwa na uoga. No, fear is there. Hi everyone, my name is Makida Dallas. Yeah, welcome back again to another episode of the BTS podcast. On my last episode, I discussed about reading 2 books for the month, which I'm done with. And here's a recap. This is the first book that I've been reading, and it's called The Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkinson. It's a really good book. So I'm gonna summarize some of the things, baadhi ya mambo ambao nimejifunza, and I can tell you Bruce Wilkinson is a Christian. All right, so he's a Christian-based author, if that resonates with you. But more over and above everything, it's the way he has managed to contextualize God's calling or individual purposes of different people in the world, and it just makes sense when you go through it. Okay, so hichi kitabu kimekuwa divided into 2 parts, part 1 and part 2, with about 17 chapters. Lakini the first part speaks in parables. It's about a character called Ordinary living familiar land and going his journey to the promised land. So sehemu ya kwanza ipo more on parables. You know how if you've read the Bible, and I think also other books are also written in the same way, zipo more in parables kwa mafumbo. And then the second part, it's now unpacking those parables kufit maisha yako wewe, so that you can resonate on what's making sense. Okay, so here are some of those lessons I read. In summary, they're like 7 or 10, but there were moments where I was getting light bulbs and things were making sense for me. Vitu ambavyo before you could see its gray areas in a way, right? So let's go right into it. Msije mkasema na waste time. So my first lesson was, everyone has a dream. Kila mtu ameumbwa na Mungu akaekwa kwenye hii dunia tayari ana kitu chake. Everybody has a dream that God has planted in you from the day He has made you, from the day you were born. There is something in everyone. So it's either watu wamekuwa split into 2 parts. Wale ambao they don't believe that everybody can have a dream, and there are those that feel that boat has sailed, it's too late. But you can always make a plan if you really want it that badly. So everyone has a dream, yeah? Additionally to everyone has a dream, it's that the biggest challenge for people to follow their dreams is unbelief or not believing. You have a dream but huamini kama unaweza. That's the biggest setback to most people. Another thing, the second thing is that, contrary to what people think, very few people actually know that, or instantly wanajua kwamba this is my dream, this is what I want to achieve, or they discover that very early on in life, or through maybe a spiritual intervention, because there are people who experience that. Contrary to what people think, very few people actually see it in that way. Many of us, it's an accumulation of things. This was a light bulb moment for me, because you know how you talk to people and people are like, I don't know what my purpose is, I don't know what my dream is. Like, if you actually sit in solitude and then look at what you like to do, those interests, what you find yourself doing for free, what you enjoy doing, even if you had all the money in the world, like, unakuja ku realize there's a pattern. That for me was a light bulb moment, and I kind of said, you know what, we all have vile vitu ambavyo tunavifanya consciously and subconsciously that are aligned with our dream. Wengi tunafikiri kwamba tutaamka siku moja and then it will be there. You know, this was a really nice discovery for me. Alafu pia it was a good thing, kwa sababu alikuwa anasema that God isn't hiding our dream for us. It's there, it's in you, but it's for you to find out. You see, nitaona na glance down, but I literally made some notes when I was thinking about this. And then the third thing was that katika kila ndoto, in every dream, every big dream, mara kwanza you will see ni kama kitu likubwa ambalo huwezi kuachieve. This was also very good for me. Like, I discovered in every dream at first, it can seem so big, it can seem overwhelming, and you don't think you can achieve it. That was another aha moment for me. You know, I mirrored it to my own life, yeah? And then eventually a big dream is like aimed to meeting a bigger need in the world, because remember, God who gave you this is your part in completing that puzzle for his glory. It's the bigger picture, you know. That was another thing. And then another lesson was that we always give excuses. Oh, it's too late, I'm too old, now I have 2-3 kids, they have to go to college, I need this job, I need this. But if you really, really want this thing, you will find a way. You'll find a way of making it work or moving things. That's not to say kwamba there won't be sacrifices. There'll be a sacrifice, and not maybe one, there'll be several. And then, as I was saying, there's always a sacrifice and even several. And then your dream, your journey towards that dream, as you're living it, your dream can change along the way, as in the journey will improve, will adjust some things, will bring clarity, and yes, it prepares you to succeed. Yeah. Another thing is fear. Fear will always be there, contrary to what people think. Kama ilikuwa ni calling yangu na Mungu, kwa nini ninauoga? Kwa nini, yani zile setbacks kwamba ningekuwa kama ni it's my calling, nisingekuwa naoga. No, fear is there. For every step that you'll take, fear is there. For me, there was an assurance with this and the peace that came with it. And then you'll notice if there's a very huge tug of war between chasing your dream or remaining in your comfort zone, it means you have a dream and you really want to go for it. Otherwise, kitu ambacho hukitaki sana, it's a no-brainer, right? Utachoose kitu kingine. Lakini kama unakitaka kitu sana, utaona kitu kinakukereketa. That means go for it. There's a huge tug of war because you've got a bigger calling and God is calling you to do it. So move towards it, yeah? Remember that your comfort zone, as days go on and you're still there, it will become a sort of a jail, you know? Because you always think, what if, then maybe eventually you give up. Lakini wengi tunakaa kwenye mazingira ambao tunazoea. As a result, it sort of confines you. And one thing that came really across with the comfort zone, you're comfortable because you're serving yourself, if that makes sense. I'm comfortable because I'm doing this for myself. With a dream, it's bigger than you. You're serving others. You get it? You're helping somebody else. Comfort is for yourself. Yeah. All right. And there'll always be a comfort zone waiting for you in the future. So don't think because you've broken this barrier, then that is it. As you're going closer to the promised land, which is you're achieving your dream, and that is only a stepping stone for the final destination. Lakini challenges yatabadilika. You'll make peace with it and you'll grow as you go along. Yeah. And then lesson number 5, that's border bullies. I knew about this. It was sort of reassuring. Border bullies in the sense of face opposition. You'll have opposition. The only thing that you should know is that opposition, they're expected, maybe not exactly enemies, but people who you expect not to believe in your dream. But usually your border bullies or your opposition comes in the face of people you know. So why does it shock you? Because utegemei rafiki yangu, mamangu, babangu wote wangeni challenge katika hichi kitu. Don't take it the wrong way. Instead, understand their thinking. Kuna wengine watakuwa na valid concerns ambazo zita help you fine tune your journey. Lakini wengine, you should understand kwamba it's because you're disturbing their comfort zone. Because if something is bothering them, it means you're pushing the norm. They're used to you in a certain way and how it benefits, or they're accustomed to it. Wewe disturbing that situationship that you have makes them become uncomfortable. So understand that border bullies watakuja kwa sura za watu ambao close to you. Yes? And they can be motivated by different things. That's something that you should learn and make peace with. For me, it was really eye-opening. Yeah? Another interesting lesson was wasteland. Mara nyingi unakuta mtu anafikiria kwamba after I break my comfort zone, I start this as I'm chasing my dream, it's an upward trajectory, no? So unapitia a period of trial or tribulations that can seem so long, but this is the time when you should sit in solitude and look at your actions and what you're planning, uangalie what is God trying to tell you. Wasteland, or the period of waiting, you might think, this is not for me. Why isn't God helping me? Why isn't God pointing me in the right direction? Lakini that's the period ambao anakujenga ya kuwa better. This was also a light bulb for me, because I've had projects or seasons whereby they were so long in my life and I'm like, why isn't this happening? Why isn't this? Lakini kumbe God is building you at that time to be resilient. So in summary, Wasteland ni kipindi cha mpito ambacho unakipitia whereby every dreamer will have a desert experience of some kind. Kipo, look for the diamonds in the sand. Tafuta ile almasi kwenye mchanga. Yeah? And then this is where we grow our faith. Right? God's gift is our dreamers to our future. I've spoken about this just a few minutes ago. Yeah? And then there was something very interesting about where it says what you should do. There were some light bulb moments whereby it reflected into areas ambazo I've spoken about that. So a few things that he talks about in the book, it's when in this period, identify yourself. Is this just a hiccup, or what's God trying to show me here? Isolate yourself, like isolate those main areas ambazo you can work on to build a better or resilient self, you know. Install a safety net. This, your backbone, your support, your family support, things that ground you and not make you discard your dream. You know, there are people who cheer you up. No, these are the people who cheer you and support you in your dream. Be closer to God, you know. A commitment that cannot be broken. That's what the wasteland. So it says anything, wasteland is anything but a waste. That was a very, very good chapter for me also. And then lastly, it's like how the sanctuary, the last chapter ends with, even in the parable, Ordinary, who's the character, enters the sanctuary, which is like, you know, an overflowing green pastures, a place whereby you feel you've made it, or it's in a green pastures. This is where God transforms your dream. Now, I have to agree, you have to read this chapter with a deeper, deeper dive into it, because what I learned about this is that God brings you to the greener pastures and elevates you, cleanses you, but asks you for your dream to give it to him so that he can give you something bigger. What this meant for me, and Lasma, you know that you are a puzzle, a piece of that puzzle, and you need God to guide you so that you are elevated. Does it make sense? Because you can choose either to, no, I'm chasing this, because I'm not saying that everybody who has achieved their dream in one way or another, the different definitions, of course, differ, but then I figure that the people who have not done this, they've limited themselves on how their big dream can be. Yeah, let me just contextualize that in this way. Sanctuary is an invitation. Mungu anakukaribisha kuwa karibu naye ili kukuonyesha ukuu wake. Everything is at his glory. Yeah? In his presence, physically, emotionally, mentally, you are restored, meaning that you've got clarity. You've forgiven your... I don't want to sound very... I'm not a preacher, but it's an invitation to come into God's light, God's presence, and then he invites you to give you something bigger. Give me your hand and I'll walk with you to show you the bigger vision. Yeah? And then, so yeah, that was really a learning for me. To an extent, I said I am rereading that chapter again. And the next things that it talks about, what it takes to defeat the giants in your life. You'll now meet those stops. There are people who challenge you. These are not border bullies. These are those areas unaona kabisa hutoboi. Yani, it can be something that is a risk of faith. Mwenyezi Mungu anaweka sema ambao unaona kutoboyo, unaweza kukuta hii ni legal issue, labda unaona mpaka nipande hierarchy itakuwaje, nitaregister kweli kampuni hii. Inaweza ikawa maybe it's a partnership, mmoja kaondoka and then they were the maybe your operations, they were the brains, some context like that ambayo it's very big. This is where your belief will be very important, because God is in those giants are in your path to show glory to God. And he gives an example of in the Bible, there's the story of David and the Goliath, whereby he used his sling and killed the giant. Something that people couldn't see. But this is where a risk of faith, mitihani inatokea ni mikubwa kiasi cha kwamba bila imani ya Mungu huwezi kuipita. If that makes sense, yeah? But the issue here, it's not even about how big the giants are. It's your faith in God to overcome this. And all this is to give him the glory. You know, that's why that parable or that story in the Bible, it's there. So the risk of faith, like this is where I don't doubt you, God. I'm here and I will move and it will happen. Yeah. And then the last one closes on the land of promise. It shows that you've arrived, but then you've arrived. It shows that promised land is the beginning. And what do I mean by this? God wants us, upon arrival, you don't settle, because what happens when you settle, that becomes your comfort zone and it becomes familiar again. So you should be in a state of ever evolving, because it is about the journey rather than the destination. I know that's cliche, but stick with it. So people want to own it. I'm here, nimefika, nimefanyaje. But listen to God. He will tell you to go further, and he will ask you what you see. And that's why you notice most creators, most innovators, most people who have got dreams, they will reach a company and then they will think, what next? They'll leave people to run it and then move on to the next thing, because promised land is only the beginning. It is an arrival, but you're reaching your dream, but you're not settling for it. You don't want it to own it. That's not the way dreams work. So it's a constant state of evolving. Yeah. Thank you very much. I think those are 10 things that I learned. And yes, there were light bulb moments for me, especially on 3 or 4 things that I spoke about. This is a very interesting book, guys. If you can please get it. It is really nice. In Akupa, you have aha moments. This is really nice. And a huge thank you to my friend. If you can see there, this is from my friend who's a bibliophile. Her name is Giselle. She gave me this book, Giselle Mbaga, and I read it, and I can say it has mirrored my thinking, cemented my beliefs. It made so much sense, especially if you're at a place in your life whereby there's so many moving pieces. You believe you've got a golden thread, but you can't identify it. So please get the book, read it, get it from somebody, order it, but it's really life-changing. Yeah. Thank you very much for listening to me, to Giselle who gave me the book. Until next time, my name is Makida Dallas. See you sooner than later.